Hello and welcome, everybody, to Moonlighting Montana. We're back. Sorry, these late videos, and for being in my workshop where my computer is down here in the basement. Not our usual set. It is Halloween, and therefore I went trick-or-treating with my kids. But the grind doesn't stop, and teams don't stop playing football, and the people want to know. So I want to go over an important week of football that we just had, and also welcome our special guest who's going to run us through the tournaments that are happening in AA, A, B, 8-man, and 6-man, which is not easy to do. 6-man is tough to follow, but without any further ado, let's kind of get into our scores. We had some shockers this last week, some absolute barn burners. If you haven't checked us out on Instagram, please do. We always list the games that people should be keeping their eye on. And now with the NFHS, all of you can keep your eyes on them. I think this week it's still warm out. Teams aren't feeling the nip and bite of that cold like they will later on in the season. And I think a lot of the favorites came out and got wins, especially when we're talking 8-man and Class B, the home teams. Not necessarily the favorites, but the home teams. So, like I said, without any further ado, happy Halloween, and let's get into these scores. For Class AA, some really great action. We had Glacier playing Billings Senior, and Glacier got the pretty solid, easy victory, 31-0. No big shockers there. We kind of all expected that. Gallatin comes out and absolutely stomps Big Sky, 42-0. Good for Gallatin. I think they had to bounce back after kind of a tough defeat against Bozeman. Obviously, Bozeman gets a bye first round, so they played well. And so, yeah, good for Gallatin. Great Falls loses to Butte. And I'll tell you what, Great Falls, I think, had a higher seed. People have been sleeping on Butte a little bit, and I think Butte is a really good team. I even think that Capital has to come out with their head screwed on right when they play against them, because Butte's solid, and all those Butte kids, they're built Butte tough, and we know that about Butte. Sentinel comes out and beats CMR 50-31. No shockers there, really. No shockers, and Sentinel's just, they got that culture, right? For Class A, Sioux Falls 48, Miles City 0. Sioux Falls is super solid. Honestly, I'm a little bit worried for Fergus. I think Fergus needs to be in check when they play Sioux Falls this coming week, because Sioux Falls is really good, and we're going to get a really good look at what the West has been talking about, saying the East isn't as strong because it's East versus West matchups. Laurel beats Libby 45-6. Libby's good too. I think Laurel is turning it on at the right time. They flicked a switch, the sparks lit, and now they are moving along, trying to roll through this postseason. Dillon beats Frenchtown 42-34. People I was talking to have Dillon going a long ways in this postseason. I guess I just was still sleeping on Dillon, but they might not have woke me up. But they set the alarm, right? So Dillon's a pretty good football team. They got some athletes, and that's another winning culture that just knows how to win football games. Haver and Whitefish had a scrappy battle, 17-7. Whitefish ends up beating the Blue Ponies at Haver. Whitefish is really good, solid quarterback who gets over 100 yards rushing a game this season, and that's hard to stop. A lot of these teams that run the ball, I think that's that old school style of thinking, but there's no better way of controlling a football game, and especially when you get into some of these games that I actually got to watch for Class C, I get to talk a little bit more about that. Moving on to Class B, Townsend. The Broadwater Bulldogs, they fumbled the whole bag on this one. They lost to Loyola 13-27, and I think that was most people's upsets. I didn't think Townsend would lose for the first two rounds, let alone right off the bat to Loyola. But very congratulations to Loyola. awesome victory. I don't know the injury situation with Townsend, and I don't know if that was playing a part, probably, but it is what it is. They look forward to next season. Shepherd comes out and beats Fairfield 20-12. Didn't get to watch that game, but good for Shepherd. I might have to catch them this coming week because they obviously are pretty solid. Big Fork versus Manhattan. Now, I have the scoop on what happened during this game, and it was a back and forth battle. I think Manhattan I don't know what happened. Maybe they were just sleepy at the beginning of the year. People didn't really talk them up or hype them up, and they had really good games, and they beat some tough teams, and then they come out, and Big Fork has to get a stop in the red zone with a minute to go to stop Manhattan from scoring and possibly winning that ball game. So very close, hard-fought battle. That's what you like to see for Big Fork, though. But a lot of these teams come out and roll the first team they play, and they don't feel that challenge until later on during the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Ooh, boy, this team that we're playing in front of us is bigger, stronger, faster than our previous team." And so it's good to get in those scrap fests right off the bat. So Big Fork holds on. They fall, they bend, but they don't break. That's their mentality, and that's working well for them. Glasgow beats Baker 34-12. The Glasgow Scotties moving on. Huntley 52, Cutbank 14. Huntley Project runs. I mean, it's a run the ball offense, which is going to be so cool to watch next week when they go play the Florence Fly High Falcons. Shout out to Quinn Chamberlain. The two different styles of offense, two different styles of football, completely. And the thing is with Huntley is if there's two, I mean, it's a pick your poison sort of thing. It's also double-edged sword. A lot of analogies coming your way. That's kind of what I do. But if Huntley gets down, I don't know what their offense is going to look like. Are they going to run the ball? There's another team that's going to be really relatable later on that I talk about. But if they get the ball, how is their come from behind game going to be? They've kind of just stomped all over teams. But if they get ahead, what the heck are you going to do? They control it. It's really hard to stop them. They push forward and they attack, and they're strong and they're fast, and yeah, they're really fun to watch. I finally got a chance to watch them, and they're the real deal. So they absolutely rolled Cutbank. Florence handled business against Whitehall. No surprise there, 47-13. Malta 34, Red Lodge 14, and Jefferson, the game of the week in my opinion, one of the barn burners, ends up beating Eureka 21-6. Really good matchup. Jefferson dropped a few games early on in the year that made them have to play a great team like Eureka, Garfield County. But they got the victory, and that's what matters. But I'll tell you what, it is an absolute grind going forward in B, and there's going to be some games next week. B is the division to look for next week's games, because you got Loyola versus Shepherd. Who really knows with those two teams? Who knows with Loyola if they're going to keep handling things the way they are? And I don't know anything about Shepherd, but I need to watch them. But then you got Huntley versus Florence, and Malta versus Jefferson. Two really good games. Huntley versus Florence, man, I tell you what, those are two teams that people would not be surprised at seeing in the state championship. But unfortunately this year, in the cards, you just won't see both of them playing in the state championship. But that's football, and it's great because these teams really get to earn their spot. If they're going to make it, they got to earn it. They got to earn their stripes. We have now moving into 8-man, specifically 8-man in Class C. Flint Creek rolls Park City 62-6. No shocker there. Belt rolls Charlo 64-0. No shocker there. Charlo's a good football team, but this is Belt's year to prove something, and they're doing it right now. So they rolled them. Superior rolls Forsyth 52-6. A lot of these 8-man teams just came out so prepared, so ready to just go and handle business. And J-Mac and the boys, like they said, took care of business and bounced back after that mission defeat like I knew they would. Now, Culbertson Lone Peak, this is the game that I wanted to tie in relation here. Culbertson in 8-man football just looks like one of the biggest, hard-nosed, strongest football teams that I've watched. And they have a fullback he blocks like a maniac. They run the ball a lot, and they just force their way into the end zone. And so Culbertson's a really interesting one to watch going forward. because they're just so hard-nosed. They're one of those teams in the East that people are talking about. It's like that old school style of thinking, What I'll tell you what, it works for them. They have the right athletes. They train the right way, which is key. You're always going to hear me say, you want successful athletes? Take care of it in the weight room first, and then the court or the field will follow in line. It always does. It's hard to convince athletes that. Show them teams like Culbertson, show them teams like Huntley that come out and are just physically more dominant than the other team. They can do simple things. They don't have to be crazy. They don't have to run trick plays. They don't have to, call crazy offensive plays or go into their bag of tricks because, they're just going to dominate you. So Culbertson rolled Lone Peace 64-16. Joliet 56, Cascade 22. Good for Joliet. They're another one of those favorites going forward that are really strong. People know about them. They were ranked high beginning of the season. Dropped a few. Doesn't matter. They passed the eye test. Fairview beats Fort Benton 64-24. Ennis 19, Chinook 6. I watched a lot of that game. It was a mud bath on Ennis's field. It was like watching the longest yard mud scene when all those guys were rolling around and slipping in the mud. And it doesn't really suit Ennis's style of football that much because they are high octane, flying around. And Chinook is definitely one of those teams that relies on the run. And another relatable game because Chinook got down and they didn't really want to throw the ball until the fourth quarter. And the frustrations took a turn when there was a fight, and it was just frustrating because Ennis handled the entire game, handled business, and are moving on. Mission 48, Circle 34. Circle, good for you guys, man. I really was high on Mission, and they obviously got the win by 14 points, but Mission's been rolling teams left and right. They've been taking care of business everywhere they go. And Circle comes out and at least gives them a battle. I do think a touchdown was scored sort of in the garbage time, but still, a great battle by Circle to put up much of a fight against Mission because Mission's obviously super strong. Another two tested teams playing each other, and I don't know, the Class B bracket, as you guys are going to see and hear on later, is going to just be our Class C8, man. It's just going to be tough game after tough game, really. And it might be the bracket to watch as well because you got Flint Creek playing Belt, which in a lot of people's minds could be the state championship game. But it isn't. Like I said, didn't end up happening that way, and sometimes it doesn't. So now here they are playing each other in the quarterfinals, and they got to earn their way. Wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I'm going to leave the picks up to my man J-Mac over at Good Morning Montana. Check him out Friday morning on Instagram to see who he picks, because he got some picks right that I wouldn't have rode the bandwagon with him. Picking Loyola to beat Townsend. That guy's like a savant, I'll tell you what. It's Superior versus Culbertson. Another really good game. Interesting to see because they're both so physical, to see how does iron shape iron. I guess we're going to find out. Joliet versus Fairview. Great game. Personally, Joliet is what other people are saying, or other team to watch out for. But Fairview I've had them on a couple of barn burner games on Instagram, and I think they've handled it every single time I've put them there. And then Ennis versus Mission. Man, these teams got to earn their way. They got to claw their way out of the quarterfinals. And if they do, they are going to be battle ready moving forward. You might as well play them now. These teams that are talking about wanting to have the easy route, or they're upset about the bracket. I talked to Coach Speck after his game. He doesn't want that. And that's what good teams don't. They don't want the easy path. You have to beat these teams anyways. And they're not going to settle for beating easy teams and then losing to the team anyway in the finals, right? So you have to play these teams, and you have to be ready for them. And I know one thing about them, about all the McKittricks and Coach Speck down there coaching at Ennis, and Clinton Boyan, our buy-in, is ready to roll at quarterback. I love watching that kid play quarterback. He's awesome. And I just know they're ready, and they're going to get their guys ready. And same with Mission. Mission's going to be ready to go. Mission's been good for 4 years, thanks to Coach Murray kind of starting it up with those freshmen. I watched some of their freshman games. He was showing me footage on that, and he kind of got that thing rolling, and here they go. Now they're favorites. They're one of the favorites. But 8-man's a loaded class, so we'll just see on that one, honestly. Then we got 6-man. Still don't know a whole lot about six-man. I'm going to tune into it more this weekend when I get a chance. I watched so much football. It was hard to have enough streams open to watch it all and be a dad at the same time. So I had to make a very tough priorities decision and only watch a little football and be a little bit of a dad. But we had Roy beating White Sulphur 31-7. We had Broadview 55, North Star 12. Broadview, really good six-man team. Going forward, they're going to be a team to watch, team to beat. Knoxon loses to Valier 52-8. Floyd Lake wins 49-32 versus Denton. Hot Springs, here's a barn burner here. They really kept it close, but Chester ends up winning 55-54. Hot Springs, basketball score there. I don't know if a game winner was scored or anything like that, but very close. Scar-making game, I guess. Ritchie 6, Bridger 44, Highwood 12, Custer 63, and as you know, Tucker Taylor and Big Sandy Pioneers, I believe, 61, Savage 6. Really excited going forward. I got to shout out a man named Cody Branson, doing some work with websites and coding for me so I get this thing optimized, and I'm really excited to share what I'm working on with you guys. It's going to bring a whole new graphics, scores, everything to you guys in a dynamic way so that I don't have to rely on Excel sheets, and there's just going to be, I don't know, it's going to be awesome. Once I show you guys, I'm going to keep shouting him out because he's a coding wizard and he's helped me out so much just out of the kindness of his heart. So I'm super excited to show you guys what he's working on. It's going to carry through towards basketball season. But that's in the near future. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome on a coach that needs no introduction. You guys might find yourself watching him on Apple TV or seeing pictures of him online. He's a coach that went from coaching a nationally successful football team, and he tried his hat at coaching soccer. And now we were privileged enough to have him on Moonlighting Montana. Say what? How? Personal favor. Lived a good life. People, ladies, gentlemen, whoever's watching the show, moms, kids, coaches, please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Ted Lasso.
Hello there. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show today. I did the best I could to look at what's going on in Montana and know what's going on, really. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I literally know more about the Kennedy assassination than I do about six-man Montana football. But I'm here to help you out. And I appreciate everything you do down there, keeping up scores and making sure people are aware. As you know, before I was the coach that I am now, I was a college coach, so stuff interests me. And as you said, as you went over the scores, what I'm going to help out with today, you could just sit back, kick your feet up, take a break, do whatever you need to do. Have a tea break as they do where I'm from. But I'll get into what's going on with the brackets, okay? And I appreciate you, like I said, having me on to talk about it. I'm going to rush. Caught me on my lunch break. I'm going to forgive you for that. In Class AA, we had Helena going up against Gallup. Now, the thing that's kind of sad about the whole matter is we also have Capital playing Butte. So that means the Capital versus Helena are going to play in the semifinals. I think a lot of us really wish that we could keep the state championship in Helena. It's not how it worked out. I kind of like my Montana playoffs like my grandma wearing a swimsuit, all in one piece, all in one place, okay? So, yeah, like I said, Capital's playing Butte. I'm going to leave the predictions up to your guest that was on last week, J Mac Attack. And going forward, we got Bozeman versus Glacier. Now, Bozeman versus Glacier is an interesting matchup. I just feel that, I don't know, Bozeman all of a sudden pulls out and gets a bye in the first round. These AAA teams getting that bye really makes it easier for them. But Bozeman versus Glacier, coming up after that. And then we got West versus Sentinel. All right, West versus Sentinel. West is going to have their hands full there. Sentinel, obviously a really good team stuck in a tough division. So the winner of those two, winner of Sentinel, West, and Bozeman Glacier are going to meet up there in the semis. And then we move down to Class A. And we got Hamilton playing Whitefish. They already played each other this year. Trying to get back to the same old routine. They know the plays. They know what they're going to do. They know the game plan. They know who they're lining up against. And sometimes that just doesn't matter. If you're Whitefish, your favorite animal in the world is a goldfish. Why? 10-second memory. All right. Billings Central is going to play Dillon now. Get introduced to all these Western teams saying the East is weak. We're about to find out this week, right? We're going to find out. See if these Western teams know what they're talking about. Or if maybe they are just compensating, right? Who knows, really. Then we got Polson versus Laurel. All right? Polson versus Laurel. Another East versus West matchup there. And we got Fergus versus Sioux Falls. Classic East-West battles all throughout A. It's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to load the West or are we going to load the East? Who's a better team? It's just hard for me to know. Okay? Yeah. Really, in the end of the day, success is not made up of wins and losses. It's trying to help these young fellas be the best version of themselves on and off the field, right? So, moving forward, we got Class B. Okay? Thank you for sending me these brackets, by the way. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll be talking about. But Class B, we have Loyola versus Shepherd. Don't really know anything about Shepherd. I think they shocked a whole lot of people coming out and winning last week, as you heard Andrew talking about that over there in the scores. But I don't know. Hard to predict. Loyola also shocked the whole state by beating Broadwater easily. So good pick, J-Mac, keeping that percentage up. We got Glasgow versus Big Fork. Now, obviously, Glasgow didn't want to see Big Fork this early, but you have to beat them eventually, right? You got to go down the line and beat them eventually. Then we got Huntley and Florence. Florence, I don't think wants to see Huntley. This is what a stylistic matchup this is, right? What a stylistic matchup this is. We got Florence, spread them, throw it, gunslinging, move the ball, that open style offense with the ball flying all over the field, and just spread out, right? Then we got Huntley, who when I watched them this week, looked like they were running some sort of wing T. Might not have been wing T, but it was darn close. And I like to call the type of game they play the Exorcist, because it's all about possession, and it's going to be with these running teams, right? So then we move on down to Malta and Jefferson. That should be a great game too. Malta have really been putting on shows lately, late in the year when it counts. And Jefferson obviously been one of Andrew Elliott's favorite teams all year, and seeing if they can still make a deep run into the playoffs, right? But at the same time, seeing them lose a couple, they really remind me of my grandma with the channel hopper when they push all the wrong buttons, you know what I'm saying? And so we go down in, now we're getting into Class C, more specifically 8-man football. We got Flint Creek versus Belt. Now this game is going to be a wild one. This game's going to be a wild one. Belt, second coming for a few years now. They've been saying this is the team. Obviously, Flint Creek's the team to beat in the state. And I think that Belt just put a smack down on Charlotte last week, and that kind of proved some things. And Flint Creek did the same to Park City. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't want to have to pick that game because it's going to be wild. I'm glad they're meeting up. I wish it was a little bit later. All right, a little bit later. Yeah, and then after that, we got to go down to Superior and Culbertson. Now, Superior absolutely torched last week Forsyth Doggies. Just learned what a doggie is this week. It's female deer, or motherless calf. But moving forward, Culbertson absolutely studs out there. They're big, they're broad, they're strong, and they're ready to take down anyone who comes near them. They got just about everything you need from that running style team that they run, okay? And their goal is to go out like Willie Nelson on a high, right? And so they're going to try and make a deep run. that's just what the Culberson versus Superior, different style of games. But I just will tell Coach J Mack, those are some men down there in Culberson, and who to thunk, right? Then we got Joliet versus Fairview. Very good game, good matchup here. Don't know a whole lot about either of these two teams. Didn't get a chance to watch them. After that, we got a very great game coming up. We got Ennis and we got Mission. All right, Ennis and Mission. What a great game that's going to be. All right, that game. Ennis looked like they were playing on an ice rink. Got sliding left and right all over their field. Kind of mugged down the game. Made it hard to throw. Made wide receivers hard to but they got it done. And Chinook had, quite the run of game. And they ended up pulling it out 19-6. It was a hard-fought battle, and it was good for Ennis to really hard fight through that, and it was getting a playoff win. Sometimes it's not so hard, right? And yeah. So then we move on down to six-man football. And like I said, I know more about the Kennedy assassination than I do about six-man. It was the mob. But we go Roy versus Broadview. Don't have any clue on any of those teams. Valier versus Floyd Lake. Chester versus Bridger. We had a couple of barn burners. And you know what they say about some of those games. They were barn burners. They were close. And luckily in Montana, this is what they say about back where I'm from. You try to end the game in a tie, well, it might as well be the first sign of the apocalypse. So those teams are really close in six-man. I think it's kind of hard to do. And so a couple of really close games. And then Big Sandy versus Custer. Personally, Big Sandy's favorite team. We got Tucker Taylor down there coaching the six-man run and gun style. We haven't heard of the first episode when I was watching it. I'm a subscriber. Micah Speck talking about how he sends the house defensively, which is a bold move in six-man football. But on my opinions, I think there's some great football to be played. Had a chance to look it up, some of these teams, and I appreciate the passion that Montana people have for the game of football. Right? It's awesome that these people just love to watch football. And who knows? I don't know. Might not be talking the right way or believing in the right teams, but what I will say is that it's very, very fun to watch. And it's exciting going forward. As I said, I'll let J-Mac kind of pick. But as I've seen on your previous shows, you really like coaches to come out and pick who their favorites are for each division. And I just think I should do it, right? I feel like I should be part of the crew. So in Class AA, I'm going to take a step out of here, and I think I believe the same thing you do. And I'm going to go with Helena High to win Class AA. I think they got a lot to prove. That loss fueled them, and they're going to be strong moving in. And Class A gets a little bit dicier in Class A. I think that I have to go with Fergus. They're the team to beat other than Polson. And Polson might be battle-hardened. Who knows about this East? We're going to find out. Bales need to leave me alone. Like I said, that's my cue that my work wants me back. But Class B, I'm gonna go with, because he talked to me, I gotta go with Florence. Florence really strong finish to the year, and I'm just hoping they win. Shout out to Quinn Chamberlain down there in Florence, teaching those boys a little bit about the man sport, which is football. Okay, we got 8-man football. This is tough after I watched his games last week. I'm just going with teams that I gotta the team to beat is Flint Creek. No questions asked. But the team to do it might be Belt. So who knows that game? Mission and Ennis. I'm going to go with Mission or Ennis, the winner of that game. I'm not predicting that game, but whoever wins it, they're gonna carry it to the promised land. They're not gonna stop on those stair steps to the victory, and they're gonna be holding up that plaque at the end of the year, singing "Kumbaya" and dancing on the field in the cold.
Thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate you coming on with us. That was wonderful. You guys got the scoop. You guys got the idioms, the metaphors, everything that you needed to get for those brackets. And we were just so thankful to have him on. Getting coaches like that, quality coaches like that, as much as we can, especially on Halloween. It's not super easy. People have plans and are doing things. But really appreciate Coach Lasso, giving his insight on Montana football. Couldn't be further away. Doesn't matter. The state is electric. We're excited. Anxious is another word for it. I'm more up to date on high school football than I've ever been, and I'm in a very happy place. So if you guys are following along with me, feeling the same way as me, feeling the little sparks, tingles in the air that are just making you think, what's going on? We need to know. Don't forget to subscribe, because we come out with videos every week. Typically Sunday, Monday, they're released. Obviously Tuesday after Halloween, this one's released, and we are just gonna fly as high as we can. We're gonna sprout wings and fly away like a peacock. The show is seeing new heights, and we're just gonna deliver it in a more dynamic way each and every week, the best way that we can, because you people deserve it. Most of all, the teams, the players, and the communities of Montana deserve it. No more people thinking that we're riding bison to school. No more people thinking that we're mountain folk, even though most of us truly are on the inside. We care about sports. They are the backbone of a lot of these communities, and we're getting the word out there. And then, like I said, if you want to follow the word, follow us. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. Love you guys for tuning in. But without further ado, toodaloo. See you guys next week. Super excited. Gonna have another coach on. But have a great night, you guys. And happy flippin' Halloween.